Hello and welcome to our tutorial, and what I have here is my character. I have her standing on a very simple plane, and we are going to animate her. So let's get going. So first things first, we need to decide the speed she's going to walk at, and I've set my start and end frame from 1 to 25, so 1 second walk cycle, and we can repeat that. We need to decide what sort of kind of character she is, and we want sort of a light, dainty walk for our character. Not too dainty, but we don't want huge, big strides, so we'll move this leg back a little bit, and we will take our bend bone and bend her knees a little bit. Deflect our bend bone, move across a little bit. Maybe take a spine, rotate it a little. Small movement to the head. I need to fix that in a moment. And I have lots of work to do in terms of working with hands and fingers and all sorts of things. Just in principle, we'll try and get a very sort of basic pose. So what we're trying to do here in her starting position is her knees are bent, so we're giving her sort of space to move back up into. We probably want to ground this foot a little bit more. So we'll take this and go GZ. We'll bring that down. So we have a tiny bit of movement through the ground, but we'll live with that. We don't want this foot kind of kicking out too much, or it'll look rather strange. Now, I suppose the main things we're trying to achieve here are that there's her knees are bent, so we've moved down with the bend bone. We've got one foot taking weight, and that our character has been shifted her kind of center of gravity over slightly to her left, so that her head and her torso are sort of shifted over this left leg, because that's the one that's taking the weight. Okay, and we probably need her to lean forward just a little bit. There we go. So I'm going to save that. Now, that's our first frame, so let's go to frame 25, and this will also be our last frame. So now we're going to go copy and go to frame, I don't know, 13, and paste in mirror. Paste mirror only works if you have gone to the bother of namingeverything.or.al or _or_l. If you have not done that, then what I have just done will not work. So this will give us a, so we can see when I said the word subtle, shift from side to side, maybe subtle was not the right word. So we'll straighten her up a little bit. We don't want so much movement. So copy that, paste it there, and then when we're here again, yeah, she's doing mad stuff. over back here and rotate this leg out straighter and save that. So that should give us a simpler. Now we still have a little bit of lateral movement in the bottom half of the body that we definitely don't want. So let's see if we can fix that. So let's delete this line here. So now if we copy that, excuse me. So what's happening is because I'm pasting the distance from here to here, when pasted from this leg to this leg, we'll shift the whole rig to the side, so these are not kind of equidistant from the center, which is why I'm kind of getting a sliding from side to side. So I'm going to copy this, go to frame 13, and paste my mirror, but I'm going to then go G, X, and move this back over to about here, and then keyframe it, and we should have far less side to side slippage with the feet. Okay. Now that is awful, but no, everything is awful when you're starting. So let's go to frame 8. Now on frame 8, what we're trying to get is a scenario where this foot's still standing, so we're kind of lifted up, we're moving forward. This foot is still, sorry, I'm not on frame 8, so I'm going to, select all of these and go copy and move forward here to frame 8. So I'm going to paste in my pose from the start. What I want to do is I want to go G, up. This is still in place, and this leg is now passing, and we will rotate up our foot a little bit. And for now, that's all I really want to do, is to get the sense of the insert keyframe. So passing and out. Now we probably want this foot here, because of the nature of the walk cycle we're making, is we want it to move back kind of a little bit, because we're sort of walking on the spot. So okay, so we're going to copy that, go to there, and paste mirror. So now, let's see what walk cycle we've got. Now, it's far from perfect. Oh, it's very far from perfect. Again, we have that sliding motion, so yeah, we definitely need to go G, X, push that back that way. Okay, so all of the sliding's gone. A little bit of sliding we can deal with. So there's a bit of a plod. Now we haven't really followed our ground, which we put there so we could follow, but we can go back and tweak that. And our upper body is not complementing our lower body. So now what we need to get is So we need a tiny bit of movement to the left there. And copy and paste. So I said dainty, I don't think I got dainty. Okay, we got a kick on our knee there, so we'll have a look at that. So that's on this frame here, so we need to take that, rotate it out. Now, so let's get our arms as best we can. So our arms are going to stay all the way. So by the time we've got from here, this arm here. Oh, we don't want it to go too far. This arm is going to have moved forward. Okay. Now, what we want to do is we want to get an in-between position for our arm animation. So we're going from there to there. So here I need to have moved a little bit. And this one the same, I need to have come forward a little bit. I'm going to copy that, paste its mirror. Okay, so let's have a look at that. So there's sort of a sudden hand movement in it, it would appear. Yeah, so this swing here is quite dramatic. So we're going from here to here. So I'm going down, and back up. Problem is here, so I've moved too far down. And then I need to give it a tiny bit of movement. So let's press play. So this is not too bad. This is moving too much. So let's go examine that one. It's moving quite far back. So we go copy. Yeah, so it's just too far. So let's get a different middle position. So let's move that back. that might be good. Bit of a sort of a low lunge at so at this point here, I need to just lift a little bit, so it's not, the arm's not flying down so much. Okay, so it's not too bad. Not the best. It's not the worst. Okay, so we're gonna I'll save that as 4. Now, so we have a small issue here now. The problem we have should be addressed, actually not in the animation. I need to go back and fix this. If there's going to be geometry going through, let's just take that one, and we'll move the eyes off slightly. Okay. So what we're going to do is take these guys here, and we'll go Shift D, move them up 50. Oops. Do it again, up to 75, and again up to 100. Now what I should have is so this movement of the foot, this flick out of the foot is not right. So, and the problem is that we should start this much closer. So it's a sort of smaller stride. Okay. So, copy. And so all these ones we will delete. Oops. And so we've copied that one. And we go to the end of the walk cycle. And we paste that one. That's fine, and then in this middle one, we gotta just bring it in by hand. Okay, so now have a look. Oh, I'll bring it back to 25. There's a bit of a rotation there in the knee I don't like, but and the one thing I could probably do a little bit better is, actually no, I'll leave it. She's never quite gets tall enough, but for what we're doing, and this is our first walk cycle really, that's okay. So I'm going to do my same thing there. I'm going to take these, and I'm going to go Shift D and bring them to 50. Shift D, 100. Now, I'm going to do something we haven't done before, which is if I select this here and I go Alt-A, so if I play the animation, you'll see the circle move, and you'll see it you should see it move at a fairly constant pace, and then it'll slow down near the end, and then it'll accelerate again. So I'm just going to jump into the graph editor, and what you can see here is a Bezier curve. So it's a curve down, and this curve near the end and near the beginning, and it's a straight line in between, so this is sort of acceleration. So what we're going to do is we're going to go interpolation linear, so it's a straight line, so that there is no speed up and slow down in the animation. So it'll be a constant speed. So we'll save that, and we'll press stop. We'll look through our camera, and we'll take that frame there, and we will render it. Let's see what we get. Okay, we haven't fixed our fingers, but we'll come back and do that. Okay, so that's not too bad. Obviously our foot is going through the floor. So let's go fix our fingers, and then we'll move the floor. We'll cheat. So again, we'll end up having to replace all of these keyframes. That's okay. It takes a couple of seconds to make them. Once we have fixed our hands. Okay, so pose mode. Now, we are only looking for something simple here. So, oops. Now, I'll probably have some awful, yep. And that looks painful. So I'm going to go OR and then Z on the vertical axis, and then Z again on its own vertical axis. Ooh, not too much. And same with this guy. Now, let's try and make this look a little less painful. Okay. Now, the nice thing about this is I can select all of this. I don't have to do it lots of times. I can select that, and I can go copy. I can insert keyframes just on the hand, so I can come to here and I can go paste. So I've just pasted in the hand, and keyframe that. Paste, keyframe that. Paste, keyframe that. Same here. If you remember what we did in classes, I said to you, don't do this. Just put one bone in the hand, because you are not getting, or this is more than you are required to do. Now, we could go in and put constraints on these and get them to rotate just on exactly the right axis, but life is short, and this is only sort of a character for demonstration, so we will not do that. And or ZZ. Same on this one. Again, we'll try and make this look slightly less painful. Okay. And we'll leave that thumb sticking out. So again, I can just go B, draw a box around those bones. I can copy that, insert my keyframes, move to the next or last keyframe, paste, keyframe, paste, and keyframe, paste, and keyframe. So now let's go to our animation window. I'm going to set this to 50% just for speed, and I will, let's go into my desktop called non-player character. It's a H.264 codec. We discussed that in class, and I put it as a video, and we will hit, we'll set this up to 100, and we will just take these ones here, Shift D, 50, 75 to 100, and animation. Now, let's escape out of that. One thing we didn't do was let's just delete that ground and move to layer 2. Was it layer 2? No, there we go. Move to layer 1. So let's turn off our X-ray and go GZ. Okay, so we'll give it a quick okay. So we'll give it a go at that. And animation. So like I said, this is not terribly high res or terribly good quality. While it's doing that, I'm just going to take the opportunity to have a look at some of the render settings that I've put in to kind of speed up my render. So the first thing I've done is my tiles are 256 by 256, which will speed up the render. They default to 64 by 64. Here I've reduced the number of bounces. That literally is the number of bounces that the light path passes through, so how many times it bounces off surfaces, and each time as you reduce that, it will increase the render time, or sorry, decrease the render time. And then it's about sampling after that, and that's sort of the main culprit for when you get to rendering. So how many samples do you have? And my samples are set here at 25, and I have a preview of 5. If you were doing a really high quality render, like a still image for the cover of a magazine, you might have this set to 500 or 1,000 even, if you wanted to ensure there was no noise in the image. But that would take an awful long time to render. So for this exercise here, this is plenty. We're just trying to get a sense of the movement of the character. So we're about just over a quarter of the way through. So we've got our first sort of second done. We can see she's skipping the light fantastic here, so she's not exactly touching the ground properly, but we'll get a better sense of that when we play back the video. Now your project will differ to this in the sense that you're meant to have your character in a simple environment. So this disc, while technically probably is a simple environment, is kind of not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something where there's a justification for lighting. So this is just kind of slightly arbitrary in its application. So I'll do one more render after this, a still image when this is rendered out, and because you have to do a still image as well. So this is set to render to my desktop, to this folder here. So we'll go have a look at that in a moment. Keep in mind you don't have to do 100 frames, we're just looking for 2 seconds, nor do you have to rotate the camera and the character. In fact, your camera probably should be either still or only have a very small amount of movement, so as not to distract from the walk cycle, which is what we're interested in. Okay, so nearly there, and this will be not of AAA standard, and she looks like she's got she's put makeup on. Her skin color from her hands to her face is not consistent, shall we say. Okay, so here we go. And there she is there. So I'll just open that up. So it's more a jog than a walk. So it's not too bad. She has very long, flat feet, but apart from that, it's not too bad. So the upper body's kind of okay. There's some sort of lateral movement. A lot of the problems are being hidden by the camera's rotating render. So what we'll do is we'll just do one more. So I'll take this circle here and delete it, and we can look through here. I'll have much better, so we'll reduce this to 50. And we'll take this lamp here, move it forward, and go back here and put her in a white environment. So we'll go back here and we will render that out again. And again, we'll get a different sort of sense of the walk cycle in this little animation, but this is closer to what you guys will produce for me, in the sense that she's only it's a 50 second or 50 frames, and the camera's going to be static. So I would strongly recommend before you render out these things, you save them. Blender, if you run out of memory, will crash on you. This doesn't seem to be using a huge amount of memory. I'm only at 150 in meg peaking. So if you have a very complicated mesh, like a million verts, and you try and animate, and render out, you'll see these the amount of memory you're using increase dramatically. If you exceed the amount of memory on your graphics card, if your graphics card will only say 1 gig of RAM on it, it'll start rendering a frame, and then halfway through or quarter way through it will just stop, and probably return an error. Sometimes it doesn't, it'll just stop. In which case you need to change back to CPU rendering, and it will take much longer probably, but at least it will render. So, but the easiest thing to do for the project for me to get it in by your deadline is reduce either the resolution, or I've effectively reduced the resolution here. So this is not 1920 by 1080. It's 50% of that. So here we are. So we will minimize Blender, and then this file should pop in. That's it there. And there she is. Okay, and we'll get it to repeat, and we'll just have a little ponder. So more of a jog than a walk, and not dainty at all. This probably needs to be fixed, so with weight painting, so that the coat isn't. So it does move a little bit, but not quite so much. Probably need to get her head to move a tiny little bit more, and probably her eyes as well. But as a very basic walk cycle, it's not too bad. So we'll leave it there for now.